1999. A 41-year-old entrepreneur sells his company to Yahoo. The price? $5.7 billion. Overnight, he becomes one of the richest people in America. But he doesn't retire. He buys the Dallas Mavericks, joins Shark Tank, builds a media empire. That entrepreneur? Mark Cuban. And today, his net worth is $5.1 billion. Mark Cuban, self-made billionaire, started with nothing, worked as a bartender, taught disco dancing, sold garbage bags door to door. But Cuban had one advantage. He was obsessed with winning. He didn't just want success, he wanted to dominate. Cuban's story? Hustle. Born in Pittsburgh, working-class family, moved to Dallas with one suitcase, started Micro Solutions from his apartment, sold it for $6 million, then founded Broadcast.com, sold it to Yahoo for $5.7 billion. That's a billion-dollar exit before Shark Tank. But here's what makes Cuban different. He's accessible. No private jets. He flies commercial, answers emails himself, replies on Twitter. He's a billionaire who acts like a regular guy. That authenticity? That's his superpower. Cuban's philosophy? Work smarter, not just harder. He reads 3 hours a day, studies industries, learns continuously. He said, "The one thing in life you can control is your effort." Cuban doesn't rely on luck. He relies on preparation. Cuban's track record? Proven. Sold Broadcast.com at the top of the dot-com bubble, bought the Mavericks and won an NBA championship, made 200-plus Shark Tank investments, launched cost-plus drugs to disrupt Big Pharma. He doesn't just talk, he executes. Critics said Cuban was lucky that he sold Broadcast.com at the right time. But luck? That's preparation meeting opportunity. Cuban studied streaming, built relationships, executed flawlessly. And when Yahoo offered billions, he was ready. Today, I'm breaking down Mark Cuban's 20 rules, from hustling to studying to executing like a champion. These aren't just investing tips, they're the blueprint for self-made success. Let's dive in. Quote 1. Work like there's someone working 24 hours a day to take it all away from you. Cuban's first principle? Paranoid hustle. When he started Micro Solutions, he slept on the office floor, worked 18-hour days. Why? He knew competitors were grinding too. Cuban said, "There's always someone smarter, richer, better connected. Your only advantage? You can outwork them." This mindset built Micro Solutions. While competitors went home at 5 p.m., Cuban was coding at midnight. While they took weekends off, Cuban was selling. Result? He sold Micro Solutions for $6 million at age 32. Hustle isn't optional. It's mandatory. Work like someone's coming for you, because they are. That's rule 1. Quote 2. Sweat equity is the most valuable equity there is. Cuban bootstrapped both Micro Solutions and Broadcast.com. No venture capital, no investors. He owned his equity. Why? Because when you take money, you give away control. Cuban said, "The best investment you can make is in yourself. Work for free if you have to, but own your future." When Cuban sold Broadcast.com, he owned 30%. That's $1.7 billion of the sale. If he'd taken VC money, he'd own maybe 5%. Sweat equity paid off massively. Work for yourself. Own your equity. That's how you get rich. Quote 3. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. You only have to be right once. Cuban failed multiple times. His first business, selling powdered milk, failed. Started a chain letter company, failed. Tried multiple ventures, all failed. But Cuban kept trying. Why? Because one big win erases all the losses. And then, broadcast.com, 5.7 billion. That one win made Cuban a billionaire, erased every failure. Cuban said, "Failure is part of the process. Success is the result of learning from failure." Keep swinging. You only need to connect once. Fail fast, learn faster, win biggest. That's the Cuban way.
Quote 4. Don't start a company unless it's an obsession and something you love.
Cuban only invests in what he loves. Broadcasting? He loved radio and TV. Tech? He's a geek. Basketball? Obsessed since childhood. He said, "If you don't love it, you won't put in the work, and without work, you won't win." That's why Cuban bought the Mavericks, not for profit, for love. He attends every game, sits courtside, screams at refs, gets fined regularly. But he doesn't care. He's living his dream. Passion isn't optional. It's fuel. Love what you do. Obsess over it. That's how you win. Quotes 5 and 6. Sales cure all, and know your business better than anyone. Cuban's obsession? Sales. He says, no matter how great your product is, if you can't sell, you're dead. Cuban started as a salesman, sold software, networking systems. He learned how to close. And that skill? It made him billions. And Cuban studies. On Shark Tank, he asks the hardest questions. Profit margins? Customer acquisition cost? Lifetime value? Cuban knows the numbers. He said, if you don't know your business better than anyone, someone else will beat you. Deep knowledge wins. When Broadcast.com negotiated with Yahoo, Cuban knew every detail: revenue, users, growth, costs. Yahoo tried to lowball. Cuban? He had the data. Result? 5.7 billion. Knowledge is power. Master sales. Master your business. That's how you dominate. Sales cure all problems. Knowledge wins all battles. That's Cuban's formula. Quotes 7 and 8. Always be learning and read everything you can. Cuban reads 3 hours a day, every day. Books, articles, industry reports. He said, the one thing you can control is your knowledge. The more you know, the more you can achieve. Reading gave Cuban his edge. While competitors watched TV, Cuban studied. That's how Cuban predicted streaming. In 1995, no one believed in internet video. Cuban? He read about bandwidth, studied compression tech, saw the future. Result? Broadcast.com became the leader in streaming. Cuban was 5 years ahead of everyone. Cuban also learns from failures. On Shark Tank, when deals go bad, he analyzes why. What went wrong? How to avoid it next time? Continuous learning compounds. Cuban said, I'm not smarter than anyone. I just read more. Read, study, learn every day. That's how you stay ahead. Reading isn't optional. It's your competitive advantage. That's the Cuban way. Quote 9. Make your product easier to buy than your competition, or you will find your customers buying from them, not you. Cuban obsesses over customer experience. Remove friction. Make buying effortless. That's how you win sales. Quote 10. It's not about money or connections. It's the willingness to outwork and outlearn everyone. Cuban had no connections, no money, just hustle. He outworked everyone. That's his secret. Quote 11, treat your customers like they own you, because they do. Without customers, you have nothing. Cuban obsesses over customer satisfaction. Happy customers? They're your best marketing. Quote 12, everyone has got the will to win. It's only those with the will to prepare that do win. Cuban prepares obsessively, studies deals, researches industries. Preparation is his advantage. Quote 13, in business, to be a success, you only have to be right 51% of the time. You don't need perfection, just win more than you lose. Cuban's Shark Tank record? About 60% success. That's enough to be billionaire. Quote 14, don't follow your passions, follow your effort. It will lead you to your passions and to success. Cuban became passionate about tech after putting in the work. Effort creates passion, not the other way around. Quote 15, time is the most valuable asset you don't own. You may or may not realize it, but how you use it will be the best indication of where your future is going to take you. Cuban flies commercial to save time. No private terminals. He's efficient with every minute. Quote 16, the sport of business is the ultimate competition. It's 7 by 24 by 365 buys forever. Business never stops. Cuban loves the competition. He's obsessed with winning. That's why he dominates. Quote 17, it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes commitment. But most importantly, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Cuban's uncomfortable with comfort. He pushes himself constantly. Growth requires discomfort. Quote 18, pay attention to your customers and what they're actually buying, not what they say they'll buy. Watch behavior, not words. Cuban analyzes purchase data. Actions reveal truth. Words? Often lies. Quote 19, the number one thing investors want to see is traction, sales, revenue, customers. Cuban invests in proof, not promises. Show him sales? He's in. Show him projections? He's out. Execution beats ideas. Quote 20, perfection is the enemy of profitability. Ship fast. Iterate. Cuban doesn't wait for perfection. He launches, tests, improves. Done is better than perfect. Speed wins. That's the Cuban formula.
So what's Mark Cuban's legacy? Cuban started with nothing. Worked as a bartender, sold garbage bags, slept on floors. Today, 5.1 billion net worth. He's self-made. Zero inheritance, zero connections, just hustle. But Cuban's legacy isn't just wealth. He's made 200-plus Shark Tank investments. Many became millionaires. He bought the Mavericks and won an NBA championship. He launched cost-plus drugs to make healthcare affordable. Cuban builds. Cuban gives back. And his influence? Cuban proved that hustle wins, that knowledge wins, that sales cure all. He's accessible, authentic, real, a billionaire who flies commercial and answers emails. That's legendary. Mark Cuban didn't inherit billions, he earned them, through hustle, through learning, through execution. That's the American dream. Want to hustle like Cuban? 1. Read 3 hours a day. Books, articles, industry news, knowledge is your competitive advantage. Cuban does it, so should you.
2. Work like someone's taking it all, because they are. Hustle isn't optional, it's mandatory. Outwork everyone. That's how you win. And if you want more self-made billionaire breakdowns, Jeff Bezos, Jensen Huang, Elon Musk, subscribe and hit the bell. Drop a comment. What's your favorite Cuban hustle story? Thanks for watching.